Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it may be. Here's a quick rundown on what's going to go down on tonight's episode of the Klein Hour Podcast. We're going to continue part two of our Cincinnati sports discussion with my man, Andre Edwards. We're also going to preview the NFL draft a little bit, pretty much who the best quarterbacks are in the draft, rank them 1 through 5. Also, talk about which of our respective teams should get, like, for example, Andre with his Cincinnati Bengals, me with my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers, and Dwayne Nash with his Washington football team squad. And we're going to get into the HBCU Sports, big SWAC football championship this weekend. And last but not least, what we didn't cover, we'll bring up in some random shit. So until then, let's buckle up and hope y'all enjoy. And also, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. You'll be glad you did. And more importantly, I'll be glad you did. So until then, let's go get it. Good morning, guys. Good evening, wherever it may be, and welcome to tonight's episode of the Clown Hour Podcast. I'm your boy, Scott Burks, the host. This is my co-host, Dwayne Nash. Please check him out on HBCU Sports, reps about all things HBCU Sports, as well as Sleazy Radio every Tuesday night on Facebook Live. Check him and the crew out. It's pretty funny. You'll be entertained.
Thursday this week, because, of course, we're doing a live feed with the NFL Draft. So if you're tired of listening to the folks over at ESPN and NFL Network, come check us out. We'll be on Facebook Live.
Ding, ding, ding. There you go. And also, last but not least, check him out on herosports.com, where he raps about all things FCS as it pertains to HBCU sports. As for me, check my sports blog out at the Clown Times, Clown Sport of Care, www.theclowntimes.net. And you can check me out on Facebook as well, where you're on your smartphone, laptop, desktop, wherever it may be. Just type in the Clown Times. You'll find us there as well. And two more things. Please subscribe. We get some new subscribers this week. Please keep it up. Lots of love to our last podcast. So just hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Click. You'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. The guest, Trey Edwards, which we'll introduce later, we'll be glad you did as well. And also, what I was going to think. Oh, yeah. Please do this. Get the merch. Get your boys merch at cafepress.com. Search for the Clown Time Sports. The link will be in the description when this gets uploaded to YouTube. So there's no excuse. You'll find us there as well. So we're going to pick this up, part two from last week. Had a lot of fun talking about Cincinnati sports with my man Andre Edwards. Please check him out on Twitter. He'll give us his Twitter handle momentarily. So welcome back, Trey.
What's going on, fellas?
All right, bless us with your handle right quick again.
Yeah. So it's just Andre Edwards 06, of course.
There you go. Simple as that. Ice cold. So yeah, we had a lot of fun talking about Cincinnati sports last week, man. We could talk about that shit for hours and hours on end, but we're gonna get to yeah, I know. We almost did. So we're gonna talk about, we didn't hit up FC Cincinnati as far as Major League Soccer, which the season just started up last week. So we're going to get into that, close that segment off. Then we're going to get to some NFL draft, HBCU sports, and some random shit as well. So let's do it. All right, FC Cincinnati. MLS, Major League Soccer. It's taking off, man. Obviously in Dwayne's neck of the woods, there's DC United, one of the charter squads. MLS here, it started with the USL, what's that stand for? United Soccer League, whatever?
You talking about when they were in like the lower
level? I forgot what USL stands for, but anyway, it's like the second tier to MLS, which is pretty a damn good league. Actually, a lot of squads around the country. But FC Cincinnati came from that, and because crowd support, the success they had in USL, the love from ESPN, it kind of catapulted that momentum into our third season in MLS. And also in MLS, obviously, it's expanding. They're going to add a team in Charlotte. They're adding a team in St. Louis. Already added a team in Nashville and in Austin, Texas. So it's really good. It's good as American sports soccer fan to get into that. But there's a story behind how FC Cincinnati really took a hold of the city here. you wouldn't, if you say Cincinnati, you wouldn't think soccer town.
Nope.
But it just proliferated seemingly overnight. So Trey, I'm gonna go to you and just describe from your standpoint how it transformed to a great idea to a phenomenon that really led it to MLS.
So I think it came at a really good time to try and start something new, right? So the Bengals, I love my Bengals to hell and back, but they haven't really done anything. It came right, you had that 5-year run with Andy and AJ and Marvin,
right?
And then it kind of it's been in and hit that kind of dead since that last playoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Reds, had that 3 or 4 year run where they were contending but still losing in the playoffs. Went up 2-0 on San Francisco and then lost, 3 games to 2. All last 3 games being at home. No, I'm not bitter at all. But you walked into an area where both major league sports were down.
Right.
UC football was at the Tommy Tuberville, the tail end of the Tommy Tuberville.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
People were disenchanted with UC football.
Mm-hmm.
UC basketball had a little bit with Mick Cronin and what was happening with him, but still nothing that really captured the imagination of the city. And FC came along in the USL and really just took the city by storm. Like they were successful, but they also came with a plan. Like they had colors, they had logos, they had merch, they had, all the things that would make it made it feel like, oh, this might be something to pay attention to. And on top of that, they were successful and winning games, right? There was just this groundswell to be in the Bailey. So folks that, we're dedicated, we're coming here, and Nippert Stadium was the absolute perfect place.
Yes, it was.
To host it. Like you couldn't have gone to Paul Brown Stadium, it's way too big. You couldn't have gone to the Red Stadium, way too big. You didn't want to put it in some little rinky-dink high school, stadium type of thing. But Nippert, because it's
intimate,
historical,
very intimate
but
too.
Still with all the refurbishing and everything they did to it, like it's just the perfect venue and the perfect feel to bring folks together, and it just went bananas, man. Like absolutely bananas. I've never been to an MLS game in my life. I've been to several FC Cincinnati games since they've been here, just because of the entertainment value, the family focus of things. I don't have to necessarily worry about, you go to an NFL game, I'm not taking my 13-year-old and my 9-year-old.
NFL games are rough, baby.
Right? Like it's just no, I'm not doing that. But FC Cincinnati, absolutely. It's family friendly. It's convenient. Tickets are relatively inexpensive. And again, when they first got in the USL, they were pretty successful.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that some people don't know, I should say, is that if you're owner of an MLS team, unless you're also owner of an NFL team, you can't hold it at the same venue as your football team. They're pretty funny about that. So basically, more times out of not, you would have to have your own, or be able to have your own, or finance your own crib. And when Andre mentioned a plan, that was part of the plan. They went into it, especially after the court hold, that the ownership, like the Leonard family, actually, they wanted, they shot themselves, they had the sight set high, and they knew they eventually had to get their own crib. Yep. So they had that plan. That was a matter of where. And the thing is that people here in the city, they were so gun shy over Paul Brown. Remember that guy? No, Mike Brown. Sorry.
Yeah,
Mike Brown. Paul Brown Stadium. How it was remember the finesse we talked about last week.
That's what.
So we're still smarter from said finesse. So for that reason alone, many people, including yours truly, thought that it was going. We would think, oh shit, it's going to be in Northern Kentucky. It's going to be in Newport. Newport is literally right across the river.
Oh wow!
So they were going to have over there, and there are venues over there. That's the Newport and the Levees refurbished. They have the aquarium. They have like a new performing arts center. It's about to go up. It's about to be really nice. And so they built all that up on the riverfront in Kentucky, Northern Kentucky. So if you think Northern Kentucky, think Northern Virginia, except it's a little more moderate politically. But at any rate, the point is that they had a plan. They had a lot of land on the Ohio River in Newport to put the stadium. And they were like, come on, please come over here. Please come over here. But apparently Major League Soccer really, really, really wanted it to be in Cincinnati, in the city. And so basically that's how it came to pass. It's in the neighborhood called the West End. Remember, everything's segregated by neighborhoods in the city. So it's a historically Black neighborhood called West End.
Yep.
It's right outside downtown. And it borders another gentrified neighborhood called Over the Rhine. Now it's OTR, but we remembered it was Over the Rhine.
Yes, 100%.
So Over the Rhine used to be
scary place, man. Let me tell you.
One of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the country.
It was a scary place.
Not in the city, in the country.
Yeah. Wow.
Murder, as far as murder rates and
I
stuff.
react like that because DC is also going through its, well, not just gentrification, of course, that's been going on for years, but the renaming of neighborhoods here. And two of them hit me this past week that I had no idea was going on. And that they're doing the New York style abbreviations, like Soho.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so for years ago, there's an area of DC more so known as Ivy City, where Gallaudet University is, but they've renamed that area NOMA, or North of Massachusetts Avenue.
Yeah.
Now, I discovered this past week that another area, Hyattsville, Maryland, not too far away actually it's a city over from College Park, Maryland, where of course University of Maryland is. Yep. That area, there's an area of Hyattsville that's called Sohi, or South Hyattsville. And then of course Adams Morgan, which is a well-known party spot and restaurant and club spot here in DC, that is now going by Admo.
The fuck?
What
did they do that for? What did they do that for?
I legit
Adams Morgan alone. Adams Morgan was a fun, trendy spot when I was there.
Still is, for people under 40. I can't go.
Leave it alone.
But yeah,
alone.
It's called Admo now. They're going by Admo,
anyway.
or they're pushing it. But Admo. Sorry about that.
No.
It's the fields everywhere, dude. I get it.
And you know what? I'll say this: it's safe. I could go there. I could take my son there. I could go to Washington Park, Washington Park. That story's for days about that. But now they clean it up. No more hookers. No more pimps. No more drug users. But no one can.
But I do have a question though. I do have a question because it's interesting. I'm listening to the story. There are a lot of similarities, especially what's going on here in DC, as it pertains to not only our sports team, but our soccer team as well.
Okay.
What is the Latino population like in the city of Cincinnati and surrounding as it pertains to attendance of the soccer games?
You know what they do, Andre?
So bigger than you would think, because like Cincinnati is pretty white and black. There's not a ton of diversity from that perspective, but there is a pretty decent sized Hispanic population, Latino population that are around. I don't know at this point that I've seen a ton embrace FC Cincinnati.
Wow. Okay.
I think it's still the trendy, upper middle class kind of thing to do at this point, right? Because it's 4 years old. It's still kind of, let's go to the FC game, right? And it hasn't really taken like that grassroots that like in the hoods in you know the neighborhoods really gotten in there. It's still a pretty trendy thing to do.
Yeah. Now I would say, especially of neighborhoods, especially speaking of neighborhoods, one thing I will say that I like what FC Cincinnati is doing, has been doing, and still is doing, is they've really embraced West End. From my vantage point, they've really like that. Like we have youth soccer leagues across the city, Dwayne. So my son used to play in it before COVID struck.
Yeah.
And so like long story short, there's a West End squad called West End Pride. So it's apparently the FC has been, from what I've read and from what I've seen, sponsor a lot of their gear as far as the jersey. They got the same color scheme.
That's cool.
And again, it's a mostly Black neighborhood and historic at that. And so it's a lot of, again, I said earlier, they've been gentrifying the West End since I've been here.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is, with a lot of these homes, you still have a lot of Black families living in these homes, which is a great thing, right? And so it's not like no one's been pushing anyone out, at least not yet. And I think a lot of those homes are ownership or owned.
That's the thing.
A lot of them are owned, or they own their own. And so you have a lot of the stores coming up. You have, it's a beautiful thing. They had to move the YMCA, but outside of moving the YMCA, which Dwayne, Andre and I know very well from our fraternity days, pledging days. Outside of that, it's been, it's still, I don't feel lonely when I go over there. I don't feel out of place, if you will. So yeah, so I think it's still a good thing. I think it's bring a lot of good to the neighborhood. I think since it's alongside of a lot of restaurants and bars that literally could walk across Central Parkway. That's the name of the street that borders the stadium and the neighborhood, along with OTR. So you can walk from a lot of bars and stuff from over there. So it's a good thing. So I know some people are pretty skeptical because they expect a lot of said Black folks, even though a lot of them own those nice, I call them brownstones, but a lot of those townhomes and whatnot, they think everyone will get pushed out. I don't think it's going to happen. It hasn't happened in 10 years since they've been gentrifying the neighborhood. So, and plus, again, the way they're embracing that part of town, it's been. I don't want to say beautiful, but it's been cool.
Yeah.
So I'm better than expected. That's for sure.
A lot better than expected. I was one of the ones I thought that they're going to push everybody up, but they haven't. So, and there's going to be more businesses popping up in the West End too. So it's not a food desert. You got OTR beside it, so it's not like they can go without, and it's not like they don't have access. Right. So I think from that standpoint, it's done a lot of good for the West End as far as helping connecting the West End to that trendy part of town. So
now, see, it's interesting that you say that. Of course, drawing parallels to what I see here in DC. It's just the same. It's the exact same thing as it pertains to what happened with Audi Field. Of course, right. the current home for the DC United, which is within eyeshot of Nat Stadium, right? That entire area right before or right as they were moving Nat Stadium,
the Navy Yard,
or as the Nationals were moving from RFK over to their new establishment, that neighborhood over there in southeast and southwest, the side in which Audi Field of the city is on, because the two stadiums are split in half by South Capitol Street, which basically separates Southeast DC and Southwest DC. Mm-hmm. So the Nats Park is on the southeast side. Right. Audi Park is on the southwest side. And that area was known for a lot of housing projects, several housing projects over there, and a lot of older housing that was at one point in time owned by African Americans, but a lot of those homes were dilapidated and old and uninhabitable. and they brought up all of that property over there. They actually knocked down one of the housing projects. And it used to be a food desert over there. Since they built 2 grocery stores, tons of restaurants, new office buildings, and tons of housing that they can't seem to sell right now, which is still hilarious to me because, of course, the pricing of it. But still, there's still a little pocket of the hood of green leaf houses that's still over there in Southwest. And like you said, the Nats, they have they've rebuilt a stadium in one of the area parks over there where the kids go over there and they play, which is cool. But yeah, the fact that they've gentrified that neighborhood the way that they have, and they've kicked Black folks out of that area, is the thing that kind of hurts me. But I'm glad to see that area has gone through a renaissance, but to the detriment of the people who used to live there, though.
Yeah. And I remember that because that's near the Navy Yard. The Navy Yard,
Yeah.
Trey, is like, I used to work near the Navy Yard where I was in DC. And yeah, it was something else.
Man, Scott, you would, yeah, because what it used to be.
Yeah. Oh,
man,
yeah. I know.
Because, yeah, I used to live, you know, the end of the Navy Yard ends on 11th Street. I used to live on 11th Street.
Okay.
So, and I grew up in that area. You know, my childhood church is on 11th Street, that same street as well.
Mhm.
So I saw the stuff that neighborhood went through, especially in the 80s with drugs in that neighborhood, and one of the more prominent drug-riddled housing projects in the city, probably in the East Coast, was over in that area as well. And then, of course, with the Navy Yard attacks that happened about 4 or 5 years ago, too, with all of that stuff that used to be like that is not that way no more.
Mhm.
But like I said, you know, they unfortunately did it to the detriment of those who used to live there by raising up the cost of living over there.
Yeah. But thankfully, that hasn't been happening in West End, not yet anyway.
Yeah.
And like I said, they've been right. And so, like I said, this has been happening in the West End before they put the stadium in the West End.
Yeah.
So it's not like anything's truly changing. It's been changing.
Mhm.
But again, there's a lot of Black folks, and you know, and other folks found affordable housing that's very nice and is high quality.
Mhm.
And a lot of those folks, they own it. They own those homes, which is great.
That was the benefit when I heard you say that.
Yeah.
I was like, fantastic, because a lot of these people were renting in that area. It made it that much easier for them to be removed from their housing.
Right.
But yeah, it was just weird that both teams followed the same blueprint of playing at playing at RFK for a period,
Mhm.
and then subsequently moving over into that region.
Mhm.
And the opposite with DC United in terms of playing at RFK, which seats about 60,000. Of course, they didn't fill the stadium when they played, but they did pretty well. They
Mhm.
did like 30, 40,000 to get
I
in there,
remember.
especially
Yeah.
during the time in which they were winning championships. But
Yeah.
it was also during a time when the football team wasn't doing well. The Bullets/Wizards weren't doing well, even though it was like right as Michael Jordan started to become part of ownership there. And even though the Caps had Ovi, they could never get over that Pittsburgh hump.
Mhm.
So the city was looking for a champion to lean on, and the DC United was right there. You combine that with the large Hispanic population here, gangbusters.
Yeah.
So I see exactly, I understand exactly what you guys are going through with Cincinnati in terms of the popularity of the team there. The only thing that's missing is the Hispanic population.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you know, but one thing, another thing is it's just it's like a perfect storm.
Mhm.
The atmosphere, family atmosphere, the venue, especially the venue at the University of Cincinnati's campus,
Mhm.
and Clifton, surrounded by all those bars and restaurants.
Yep.
You can walk to. It's a quick walk, very convenient,
Yeah.
and just easy. And it caters to a lot of the younger population here too. So
Yeah.
combine all those three things, which serves as to happen to the other professional leagues here, teams here. People loved it. Still love it. even though it's going through some lean times since joining him, just since going to up a weight class. I see Andre is his bucket, but we still love the team. And you know, who knows what's going to happen this year when we finally play in the new place in May. The first
stadium.
That's right. We got a name for it. We got a name for the stadium. So I think once COVID is once we could safe enough to come back from COVID, whereas later this year, or for me it'll be next year because I ain't taking a chance. But anyway, I think that place is gonna be jumping. They say it's very loud because they did some loud noise tests because they have those panels covering the seats. Yeah. And you can hear.
It's designed to be loud.
Yes, it's meant to be loud. It's meant to be loud, basically. So that's how it is at the Bailey at Nipper Stadium. It could be very loud. And so they were banging the drums, only a few people. And you felt how loud it was at the news crib. So it's going to be very exciting. And hopefully that will change the fortunes of this team that's in its third year of existence in MLS. So it should be very exciting. So let me ask you this one last thing, Trey. Given all that, do you think that, I mean, this team is obviously here to stay. This city loves this team. How long do you think will take before they start to become, FC starts to become competitive, as in playoff contention competitive? Let's just start there.
So if you look at the players that they have added this year, so I think, one, it took them a minute to find their coach. It took them a minute to figure out who they wanted to lead the ship and get the right people in place once they went up that weight class, right? Then it was like, okay, we have these players. These players are USL level players.
Correct.
We need to go get some MLS level players. So ownership actually spent a ton of money this offseason to bring in 2 or 3 really, really, really good MLS. Like even went overseas and grabbed a couple of cats and brought them over. So it wasn't, you know, it was a concerted effort to raise the level of the talent that is on the team. So if they can continue to do that, I mean, soccer is such a it's a smaller team, smaller roster of folks than like if you're trying to do a football team, right? And so you add a couple, 2, 3 really good players, that can change your fortunes really quickly. And so I think give them this year to kind of figure some things out, make sure that the players that they think they have are the ones that they have. I think the coach is the right person. And I think in the next year, 2 years, I think we could be right there. Yep.
It all depends on the vision, you know. So I figured it was going to be like a little bit of a journey because, again, it's not like we're in expansion as far as building from scratch.
Right.
This is holdovers from a lot of the same guys from the USL days.
You brought your AA team to Major League Baseball.
Yes, that's a great comparison.
On that AA team who could probably play in MLB.
Yeah.
Most of them probably can't.
Right. Great comparison. So for people who don't understand that's a great comparison. So that's why you and I and many sports fans who are really like, I don't want to say knowledgeable, but sensical, kind of figured that. So it wasn't a surprise to me that they struggled the first 2 years, but it's going to take time. Just like you said, it's going to take time because going from the minor leagues to the major leagues with a lot of the same squad. And so we're just trying to work our way through that on the fly. And so, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, again, those who are more knowledgeable and more sensical would pick up on that. And so that's why, again, this team is still widely loved here in the city. And so we're pretty much proud of that. Speaking of love and speaking of football, we're going to get to American football. And the big thing's going to go down tomorrow night, the NFL draft. Woo! There you go. We might as well get to it. Okay, so I was going to rank the first. we're going to rate. I was going to rate the top 5 quarterbacks, but hell, fuck it. Let's just get to our squads. Okay. So we're already talking Cincinnati sports, right? So here's what I want to do. I'm start with Dre since this is a Cincinnati thing. So I'm start with Dre. He's going to give what his Bengals should do, right? And we're going to pass it to D Nash. We're going to see how you watch the football team, what they should do. And I'll be the anchor and what my Steelers should do. Now, what they will do, we don't know, obviously. But we're going to say, we're going to put our GM hats of our squads and say what they should do. So we're going to kick it off with you, Ace. You guys are in the catbird, so you can either go playmaker or you could go offensive line.
Right.
Now, mind you, there's an quarterbacks being deep. The offensive line talent is really deep in this draft.
Yep.
So basically, you can go either or. So tell us all, you show the screen of who the Bengals should draft with the fifth overall pick.
I don't care, man. You keep trying to say should, like I should change it to an offensive lineman. I'm not doing that. No, see, you're not baiting me. You're like, okay, you're right. They should take Penei Sewell. No, they should not take Penei Sewell.
I should agree with you.
Jamar Chase. The reason why they should take Jamar Chase is because Jamar Chase is a game changer. He is a person that can change an offense immediately. You add him to T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon, yeah, good luck covering what the Bengals throw out there. So instead of bringing that, extra blitzer, instead of, playing the run super tight and putting that pressure on Burrow, you got to hold up just a second. And that buys Joe just that extra time that he needs, right? And to go back to your earlier point, this is a historically deep draft for offensive line talent for whatever reason, right? And interior, exterior, or interior and tackles, very, very heavy in this particular draft. Yeah. What the Bengals currently need is starting right guard, right? So because you sign Riley Reif, you got your center situation, you're either doing Hopkins or Billy Price. Your left guard is Spain or Suafilo, and then your left tackle is Williams. And so Jonah. And so you really need a right guard. So whether that's get a tackle in the second round who can play guard, or just flat out get a guard who can do that too. I think that I throw that second round pick in the mix of Xavier Suafilo, Quentin Spain, second round pick. I'm taking the best two, and those are my two starting guards.
Gotcha.
And given who should be on the board at pick 38, you're looking at cats like Leatherwood, you're looking at cats like Cosme, Eichenberg from Notre Dame. I mean, there are some real names that could be available at that point in time that can step in and start day one.
Right.
And so you look at the combination of, all right, what's the best combination we can get? If you're just looking at the first two rounds, you can go Jamar Chase, and just for lack of a better name to throw out there, Leatherwood from Alabama is your package. Or you can do Sewell and Diami Brown from Carolina, right?
Like, he's good. He's good, by the way.
He is good.
He's good. I've been watching him.
But is he Jamar Chase good, right? And so that's what you're looking at. Look at those first two picks, put them together as a package, and which package would you rather have? I would say Sewell is potentially a generational talent. The kid hasn't played in a year. He played in the Pac-12. He's not seeing SEC talent, week in and week out. He's not seeing the same level of pass rushers that you would see, and when he did play against solid pass rushers or stronger pass rushers, he struggled a little bit. And I'm not saying it was terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but you could tell when the level of competition stepped up, it was like, oh. So now you're facing, NFL pass rushers week in and week out. How can you hold up? What are you going to do? And so give me, again, and I stand by this, give me Jamar Chase round 1. Give me, a cat like Leatherwood in round 2, and let's ride.
Now, let me throw this scenario at you. And it's very possible that it could happen because the draft starts with Atlanta at number 4. Because you don't know if they're going to go playmaker or quarterback.
Right. Or trade.
Or trade, especially with Julio Jones. Like all those variables in the air. So dig this. They draft a young man not named Kyle Pitts. Okay. You're sitting at number 5. You got Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts. Are you still sticking with Jamar Chase in that scenario?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that was a quick yes.
And for this reason, the Bengals run 11 personnel about 80. I think it was like 83 or 86% of the time. It's the highest rate of 11 personnel in the league. So they don't utilize the tight end in the same way that other people
Gotcha.
do, for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
And so, not that they wouldn't change their scheme in order to fit a Kyle Pitts. I just feel like that puts him at 1B as opposed to 1A. Gotcha. If it was my team, I would take Kyle Pitts. Because if you're telling me this kid is walking in and basically everybody, and I don't know that there's been one single person that I've heard that was like, I don't know about Kyle Pitts. Like, everybody's like, yeah, this is like Darren Waller.
He's a real deal.
He's walking in the door.
He's a real deal. Yeah.
And so you give me a 6'5", 6'6" cat at 240 pounds who runs a 4.4 and can just destroy the middle of the field. Like, good Lord have mercy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're mostly in 3 wide receiver sets, your tight end is somebody who acts as an extension of the offensive line.
Gotcha.
Is, sometimes going to go out on routes and do things. And then you got one running back. Does Kyle Pitts make as much sense as adding that third wide receiver who can be your number 1?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're looking at, if you're Baltimore, if you're Pittsburgh, if you're Cleveland, you're looking at, okay, cool. They got a number 1 in Chase. They got a damn near a number 1 in Higgins. And Tyler Boyd just killing it in the slot. Who the hell are we going to cover? And then every once in a while, CJ Uzomah leaks out and grabs a 25-yard, seam route because we got double coverage here, and we just ran out of people to cover. So I think adding Chase based upon what they run, based upon what they do, and to throw the cherry on top of, what was the most prolific season that we've seen in college football from a college quarterback wide receiver combination in the last 3 years? Oh, that would be Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Correct. Who ate up Clemson in the championship game?
They ate up everybody.
Ate
ate up everybody.
Well, everybody, but they really ate up Clemson.
You don't go 80 some odd catches, over 1,700 yards and 20 touchdowns and eat in one game. They ate all season long.
Yeah. When they also ate when they counted.
Yeah.
They really ate against Clemson.
Which you need that clutch gene, right?
Mm.
You need. I think Zack Taylor says something along the lines of, like, when you gotta have that catch on 3rd and 5,
mm-hmm.
you want that dude that you can depend on and just throw it and he's gonna get it. Right. And that's what the Bengals need, and that's what they're looking for.
Well said. How about Dwayne? Watch your football team. Where do you draft that in the first round?
We drafted 19.
19. So you can go any direction, right?
Yeah.
You have. I'm not too well. I kind of know your quarterback situation. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic. You guys can go any direction on offense because your front seven set. you guys are dangerous on defense.
Yeah.
So basically, out of playmaker or offense, I don't know about your offensive line situation, so you got to educate me on that. But also, Fitzmagic is your starting quarterback. It's kind of, and it depends on how the top 5 quarterbacks shape out. So you may be able to snag one of those young men. But if you were running the team, tell me what beloved Washington football team, who should they pick?
Now, if I was Riverboat Ron, because we all know, especially here in DC, that the general manager, Mark Mayhew, even though he is the GM, he doesn't necessarily make these decisions. It's Ron, and of course, he aids him in these choices.
Correct.
With that said, the front 7 on the defensive side isn't completely set. It would be great if we would go ahead and get a middle linebacker here in DC. An idea that has kind of been tossed around lightly, and something that I thought about toward the end of the season because I saw the Chiefs do it and think that Washington could do it, would be to put Landon Collins in that spot. Not this, what is it called?
Sniper.
And yeah, exactly. And have him play the Honey Badger role here in DC. And like I said before, there's been some discussion here about that being done, right? Because he can't cover, but he can hit. Just being real, right? And he's being paid entirely too much for him to continue to be out there and be the free safety, especially when we got that new young boy who played extremely well last year at the free safety spot. So, of course, everyone wants to see him on the field this year as well. And we're like, okay, how are we going to get him and Collins on the field at the same time? Ding, ding, ding. That's the way to do it. But there's also, of course, been conversation about them going the linebacker route because what? Ron Rivera, former linebacker, defensive coordinator, former linebacker. Why not, right?
Right.
But you need to address the offensive line because one of the issues that they've had a lot of the issues that they had last year was one, being able to keep the quarterback upright and at least capable of attempting to throw the long ball, even though Alex Smith wasn't necessarily a long ball passer. And they're most definitely going to need someone back there to protect Ryan Fitzpatrick or Tyler Heineke if he's going to become your starter at some point, because he has a history of being injured himself. And you need to replace Trent Williams, who is no longer in the organization. Right. So that left side is the side that they need to address. As much as I would be intrigued and I wouldn't be disappointed if they went linebacker, I'm thinking Elijah Vera Tucker, out of USC. But if Slater or Tevin Jenkins falls, I'll be happy with them too. But most definitely, they need to address the offensive line. And I will say this, though, Andre, I was very counter your thought process on what the Bengals should do at that number 5 spot until I saw what I saw earlier today, which is basically how that O-line looked last year. Everyone's talking about, oh my God, it'd be great if they get them a first O-lineman from the first round. It'd be great, great, great. Dude, my thought is, based upon who they had last year, because my guess is they addressed the O-line this free agency, right?
Right.
That whole right side of the O-line last year were basically what? Free agent pickup. Well, undrafted free agents, right?
Garbage.
Yes, they were all undrafted free agents. So I'm like, dude, if they could just draft a guy on that side, they might be a little bit better than what they were last year.
So they signed Riley Reef, who is a solid veteran right tackle.
Yes.
Right, and he'll be the starter. They re-signed Quentin Spain to play one of the guard positions. They still have Xavier Suafilo to compete for a guard position. What you really, really need is you need a depth piece in case something happens to Reef because he's 30,
of course.
32, right? But what you really need is that kid who can come in and elevate that right guard spot with that, with that second round pick. the folks that they had out there who got my man broke, Michael Jordan, by no means related to the man Michael Jordan, nor did he play like that. Michael Jordan got Joe Burrow killed, and Michael Jordan will not be seeing the field, as far as I'm concerned, anytime soon. So you got rid of Bobby Hart. Michael Jordan ain't seeing the field anytime soon. You brought in Riley Reef. You give me a second and fourth round draft pick to add to that offensive line depth room. I think you're good.
Well said. As far as
yeah,
go ahead.
Oh no, that was my whole thing. I was like, dude, if they could just draft anybody on that side, they'll be a little bit better. And you go ahead and add that threat at wide receiver, yeah, they should be fine offensively.
And not to just keep going back. I mean, I know it's partly the Cincinnati talk, so that's why I keep jumping in. But if you listen to folks who know what they're talking about, it's what you don't want to have is 4 really good dudes and 1 crappy one, because the one crappy one is the weak link, and that'll get you in trouble.
They could game plan them. Yeah,
if you have 5 just average offensive linemen, you're going to be okay. That's where you need to be. Now, if one of those 5 happens to be an all-pro, that's even better. That's great. That's wonderful. But what you can't have is, 3 or 4 really good dudes and 1 or 2 that are trash. That's going to get you trouble. That's going to get you trouble.
And then that was the other thing, too, that I almost completely forgot. They needed to replace A.J. Green.
Yes.
Even if he was still on the roster, they needed to replace A.J. Green. I'm sorry to say that about you, A.J., but they needed to replace him. And why not replace him with another first-round draft pick? Yep. So, yeah. But the thing about Washington, there's been so much conversation about potentially them moving up to the top 10. With the plans of not taking a QB, I'm like, that doesn't necessarily make any sense to me. Then what if a particular QB drops down to them in 19? Will they still take a QB there? I don't know about you guys. I've gotten to the point where all of the conversation about the NFL draft has become mute to me now. And I'm just like, okay, I'll assess who they draft once they're drafted. I don't even like hearing a lot of this noise now because there's a whole lot of speculation about anticipation of what could happen on Thursday. And yeah, if Uncle Nearest was in here, I'd probably be messed up right now. But it's not.
A remix of
so
if was a fifth. That's a remix of that. Right.
Yeah, but
Well, let me say this. I mean, we really don't know what's going on with, and we'll talk about the quarterbacks, the young men in the first round after I finish bullshitting about my Steelers. Speaking of which, I don't know who the hell we're going to draft. Like we picked 24th. Yeah, here go Andre. I can't wait. In Cleveland tomorrow night, I cannot wait for number 24. That's where you're gonna hear the Brewers in Cleveland. They probably won't.
It's gonna be rowdy.
They probably won't give you guys too much hate at number 5, but they're gonna hate on Baltimore. That's for sure. And they're gonna really hate on Pittsburgh at 24. That's for damn sure. So once 24 rolls around, we got so many damn needs. Our offensive line became trash and it became old and trash at the end of the season. Partly because our quarterback started to become trash near the end of the season. That's another story for another time. So, and which made things worse, our running back room was so bad. All 3 of us are faster than the best Steelers running back right now. I'm not making that shit up. We're terrible. We can't even gain 3 yards. We can't even get 1 yard on first and goal against, Cleveland in the playoffs? We had to do some tomfoolery. I'm like, come on.
Wow.
So, and speaking of Cleveland, that playoff game, I'm still in therapy over that. You don't lose the little brother at home in a playoff game. Now you got these motherfuckers here, these Browns fans talking all that shit now.
Yep.
And God bless them. It's been 15 years of pent up shit waiting to come out. Right? If it ain't against Baltimore, it's against the Steelers. Okay? And what Cincinnati is unique about them is and Andre, you're probably gonna laugh at this, probably not cry, but laugh. If you go into an average sporting goods store, as much Bengals gear you expect to find, there's also a damn good of Pittsburgh and Cleveland gear in the same store.
For sure.
It's just hilarious. I never seen that before in my life. Two of your arch rivals gear in the same store as your gear. I don't understand. But anyway, that's
it happens here all the time.
About to say Dallas. There's a lot of Dallas gear. I cannot
rowdy,
believe that. I can't believe there's a lot of Dallas gear.
I believe it. It's called family issues. A lot of people didn't get hugs growing up in this region. So, no, be real. Think about it. If you're growing up in Cincinnati and your daddy don't love you, and he's a huge Bengals fan, what do you do as a child? You become a Steelers fan. Right. Oh, you don't love me, daddy? I'm going to get your attention now. Watch. Let me get that black and gold. That's exactly what it is.
Or even worse, if Bengals fans.
Ooh, let me get that orange. Let me get the orange and brown. Let me get that.
Yeah, that's
how you like me now, daddy?
That's as about as bad.
Me now, daddy? I swear, dude.
Now, mind you, they despise Baltimore here too because it's a division rival.
Yeah,
it's a former Cleveland Browns. But yes, mainly the thing is, if it's Cleveland and Pittsburgh, especially Pittsburgh, you might want to keep quiet on certain days. That's just how it is. But anyway, getting back to the draft, we can go many directions. Some people have us taking a running back. Some people have us taking an offensive lineman. Like I heard some talk about the Leatherwood kid you mentioned earlier, Trey. A lot of people are saying, what about Najee Harris or Travis Etienne? I like both those guys. I like both of those guys a lot. I watch both of those guys. But to me, it's almost splitting hairs because both could do it all. They could tote the rock. They're very explosive, and they could both catch the rock out of the backfield. So hell, just because of pedigree, I'm taking Najee Harris. And we already know that it's a deep draft in offensive lineman. You don't have to dedicate a whole draft to offensive lineman. Hell, there's a kid. I think he's out of Oklahoma State. I don't think he's going to last as long in the second round where we pick again. Tevin Jenkins. There are like a few other cats that we could pick up in the second round. Or frankly, this is I call him Large Benjamin. Big Ben's last year. It might be his last year. In the talent-rich draft for quarterbacks, hell, if Kellen Mond is still there, I'm taking him. Why not? He's going to sit and learn anyway because Mason Rudolph ain't it.
No.
Dwayne Haskins really ain't it. So after this season, both those quarterbacks are probably not going to be re-signed. So he needs someone, maybe a stated veteran, right? On top of that. But you need some young blood. Because next season, it's scarce. Outside of Sam Howell from North Carolina, it's scarce.
Watch my boy Des Ridder from Cincinnati, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. I mean, if he has a good season, if he does well as I think he will, it kind of depends, though. It kind of depends.
So the reason why I say that is because he's a dual threat quarterback.
Correct.
But two, he's got some pretty big opponents. So like we play Notre Dame next year.
And IU too. You play IU. You play IU as well.
Yeah. Indiana. So I mean, he's got a couple of opportunities to make himself some money.
Right.
And if he can come through in a big way, even if the Bearcats lose, let's say, you go to Notre Dame and you lose, 42-38. There's no shame in going to Notre Dame and losing. But if he goes up there and drops 3, 4, 5 touchdowns, runs for, a touchdown and 85, 90 yards and does all the things that he needs to do to get his team the opportunity to win, he can make himself some money.
Right. He's a sleeper. Yeah, to your point. I've almost forgot about that young man. So, because he could have came out this year.
Yeah.
They elected to go back to school.
It's way too deep of a quarterback class for
Right.
him to push his luck this year. I mean, like, if I'm him, I would do exactly the same thing. I'd look at my prospects for next year, know that I'm under a great coach in Luke Fickell, see that there are opportunities on the schedule to make my money and put myself in the national conversation of things. I mean, can you imagine, UC messes around and goes undefeated next year against a schedule that has IU, against a schedule that has Notre Dame, and now we're flirting with that, number 5. Let's be very clear, number 5 or 6 ranking in the playoff system, and people clamoring to move them up higher. That puts Des Ridder in a completely different light, and makes him a viable option to NFL teams.
Yeah, I forgot about that young man. So basically it's those two. I mean, those are two I know of because I watched Desmond Ridder here in Cincinnati, and plus Sam Howell's ACC, and Matt Brown, he's doing some things down in Carolina, unfortunately. So I mean, it's cool to watch. So, but be all that to say this: it's not going to be as deep next year as it is this year. It's very deep quarterback. So, like I said, with the Steelers, in the first round, again, if we end up going with Travis Etienne, I'm not going to be mad. Both are studs. It's like 1A and 1B at this point. So, if we take Travis Etienne, cool. We probably got some pop and star power in the backfield. But we take Najee Harris, I'll be real happy. Very, very happy. And I'll be happier if Kellen Mond, and I kind of like Kyle Trask too, but if all those two young men are still around in the second round, which I think they will, and if they are available when we draft them, I'm taking Kellen Mond. Get my quarterback of the future in the second round. And then the third and fourth rounds, again, it's an offensive line rich draft. I dropped a couple more young men. We got a compensatory pick in the fourth round. So we got 2 picks in the fourth round. So use those. I was on offensive linemen, all the best available, whichever you want to go. But to Andre's point, you can't go wrong in a draft like this if you're looking for offensive linemen.
Right.
You can't. And so with the guys we had, they're all gotten old and broken down. Like Marquise Pouncey, he retired.
He retired, yeah.
So he's a future Hall of Famer. So you basically, all you need are some serviceable young men to grow together. Again, because you don't want four dogs and 1 pup.
Right.
They'll game plan against the pup every single time. So just have them all serviceable and then coach them up.
Yep.
That's the formula. So if I was drafting, I would say we should take Najee Harris. And if the young man, the quarterback's available in the second round, Kellen Mond. And the rest, focus offensive linemen and do that with free agency as well. So that's what I would do. So speaking of quarterbacks, the Big 5, right, is almost like the 83 draft as far as talent. So you have Trevor Lawrence, we all agree should go number 1. I don't think there's any argument among anyone who's sensible. What gets me is numbers 2 through 5. All right. A lot of people have Zach Wilson going to the Jets. I'm like, look, I want these young men to do well. Okay. Let's just be clear. I want all 5 of these young men to do well, even though the stats say you're going to have a couple of those guys who'll be bust, right? 2 or 3 of them will be bust. But I don't see it with Zach Wilson because they didn't have any major high-profile games last year. And the ones they did have against Coastal Carolina, he didn't have a good game. And that's Coastal Carolina. That's another group of 5 school that was very good.
Yeah.
Right. They were damn good. And so they didn't get the love that they should have gotten as far as the BCS rankings. Not BCS, but college football playoff rankings felt like the BCS. But anyway, seriously. But the point is that he didn't do so well against the highest competition, which is Coastal Carolina. And he's also he's a brittle young man too. Plays with reckless abandon, kind of like Brett Favre-ish.
Yeah. A little bit of a gunslinger.
Yeah. So I don't know about him going second to the Jets, but hey, they're the Jets. Acronym just in the season. So that leaves us with Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. I didn't see much from Trey Lance except for YouTube and highlights. But I would say this. If you're coming from SCS level, you got to dominate. You better dominate.
Yep.
And this young man dominated.
Yep.
The 1 year he played, 28 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. 0. He ran the ball for over 1,000 yards. I think he had over 10 touchdowns rushing. He's 6'4", 220 something. Can run a 4. I don't think he's run a 40 yet. But dude can move. So he's something else. He's going to be. I think he's one of the kids who should sit.
Yeah.
Just learn, because they say his work ethic is extraordinary. He was studying NFL film when he didn't get recruited high enough, it just has a chip on his shoulder. He wanted to get better. So he was studying NFL film while at North Dakota State. So the motivation is there. The talent's there. The hunger's there. That's what you want. So all that being said, I would place him behind, my top 5 is this. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson. That's my top 5. And the only knock against Mac Jones, I don't care if he has a dad bod. I don't care about that. The kid played well. He had a Joe Burrow-like season last year. And the season before, when he stepped in for Tua, he played very well, too. He played, I think, in the bowl game that year. He played very well. So that young man's a stud. The only thing I worry about is his judgment off the field. He had 2 DUIs, plural. So if you're about to be a face of a franchise,
right,
you got to be. He has to be very careful. So, but the talent is there, which is why I have him ranked high. Justin Fields, I mean, come on, watch the film. I know he had that stinker against Northwestern. I know he threw a few picks against IU that kept IU in the game, Indiana in the game. But come on, when he's on the biggest stage against Clemson twice, especially last year when people argued that the officiating was slanted against him, he played well until that very last mistake. Yeah. And that's because I think the young man fell down, stumbled on his route, but they weren't on the same page. And so that threw an interception in the end zone to end the game. Clemson goes on to get blown out by LSU in the title game. But he came back with vengeance this past year. He remembered, lit Clemson up like a neon light, like a strobe light, just lit their asses up. And there's no shame for losing against Alabama in the title game. He played well in the game against Alabama as well. But one thing against Clemson that I want to harp on is that, remember he took that kill shot that would have been a kill shot from that linebacker?
Should have been.
Yeah.
It should have been a kill shot. But he got up, God bless him, had a fucked up rib, played the rest of the game just dealing. He played even better after he got lit up.
Yeah, I thought he was done when he got hit. I said, uh-oh, this is it for him.
I thought it was a kill shot.
When he came back on that drive, I said, uh-oh, they about to lose. It's over with now. He's back and he played. Okay, it's done. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like the young man a lot. I think it depends on the situation. If he goes to San Francisco, he's really going to be good. With how the Shanahans run the offense, the bootleg play action, they run the ball anyway. With the Shanahans, come on.
They'll get the QB.
Yeah.
They've been wanting since Russell Wilson. But there's now discussion that they're leaning towards Mac Jones. Which is very interesting.
This is where I struggle, and maybe y'all can help me with this because I'm not as big of a college football guy as I am pro football. Like I can talk multiple NFL teams and what they're doing and what's going on. I know UC football. I casually watch Ohio State, and then whatever's kind of on TV, right? Mm. I struggle with the concept of what has happened since the end of the seaon that took Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields as clearly number one and number two,
Right.
to now Fields is 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. Like, the dude hasn't thrown one pass.
No.
He hasn't gotten hit by one linebacker.
No.
He hasn't thrown a single interception.
Nope.
No.
Nothing has happened since January.
Nothing.
Yet we went from those two, definitely 1 and 2, like, yeah, cool, to
This is what happened.
what happened?
Talk.
Yeah.
A whole lot of talk. And I'll say this. I mean, I'll play the exercise for the sake of the show. But dude, you'll never get me fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Because everything that you hear as a deterrence for drafting a guy at any position in any draft, there's a counterpoint to that from a guy from a previous draft. Yeah. Oh my God, Mac Jones, he's played with a whole bunch of talent. His numbers are skewed. What about Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this dude should be great because his pass percentage is so high in college football. What about Kyle Allen in Buffalo? I fell for that banana in the tailpipe. I thought he was going to be trash.
Oh, Josh Allen.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Josh Allen.
Yeah, I thought Josh Allen's going to be trash in Buffalo. Psyched my mind.
Yep.
This dude is flourishing. I was like, oh my God, this dude, you can't get a QB to increase his pass percentage when he gets to the NFL. I don't know what he's going to do in Buffalo. It's like
and there were people who wanted Lamar Jackson to play receiver.
Yes. Lamar Jackson.
Look how that's turned out. Look how he's turning out. So
you know what I'm saying? Patrick Mahomes dropped down to, what was that, 31?
Well, he was traded. They traded up to get him. But he was taken after the immortal Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Mitch Trubisky was supposed to be the one, right?
Yeah. How you like that, Bears fans? You moved up one spot to take a scrub who couldn't beat out Marquise Williams at Carolina. What happened to Marquise Williams, by the way? He was a practice squatter for the Giants for a season.
Yeah.
But you couldn't beat that dude out at Carolina.
That's the things that I don't. That's what I don't understand. Like, that year, Mitch Trubisky was not during the college football season. Mitch Trubisky was not the name of a quarterback that was on the tip of everybody's tongue, right?
Oh, right.
See this Mitch Trubisky dude. You got it. Like, he is must.
Not number 2 in the draft.
Saturday football. Nobody said that, and then all of a sudden,
the Bears fell in love with him.
Months of no football happened.
Yeah.
And Mitch Trubisky is drafted. I'm like, why?
Some GMs will psych themselves out based upon what they see after the season's out. Exactly, right? Some teams.
They ain't getting the quarterback right.
Though. I mean, it really isn't.
It's not just the Bears.
Well, true.
But in that situation, it was the Bears.
Consistent theme that cats who we watched play ball, and it's not just limited to quarterbacks, but like cats that we watch play ball who balled out. When it comes to draft, it's like, well, I'm gonna take this dude instead, and you're like, why would you do that? I don't understand.
Now I'll say this though, right? If you believe that QB won't fit in your system, fine, it is what it is. If the Niners believe that Mac Jones is a better fit for their system other than Justin Fields, which I don't believe. Oh, well, that's what you want to do. But again, and I'm still trying to figure out why even play the smoke signal if you're the Niners, or even if you're if you're the Niners, because you already know that. We already know who the first 2 picks are.
Right.
We already know. So who are you trying to fool?
Right.
The Jets aren't moving out of 2, and the Jags ain't moving out of number 1. Who are you fooling? So I understand, and my main man Brian Mitchell says it all the time, man. This is lion season. Not LOIN, but LYIN, lion season. And All of these teams are doing just that to try to throw people off of their scent and who they're going to end up drafting. But I don't understand why the Niners would do that if that's not the guy that they're going to take. It's like there shouldn't be any humming and hawing when they get to that number 3 pick because you traded up for that pick. You should already know what you want.
Your next 2 years of the first round, 2022, 2023, to get whatever young man you decided on. You can't be wishy-washy. You got to already...
You're not doing that just to get to number 3 and be like, I don't know. You should have already known when you moved up to 3.
It's not that Sinbad. It's not the Sinbad line in Sinbad stand-up years ago. It's like, we gotta take your order. We pick
McDonald's. It's McDonald's.
Yeah,
Stop playing.
Never mind me.
Hurry up, man. You already know what it is. Shout out to Sinbad.
Sinbad, love Sinbad.
One of my favorite comedians, dude. Yeah. But my God, dude, it's just you're at 3. You moved up. You did all of this to get the 3, and now you're who you pump faking?
How about this? Speaking of, we're talking about pop culture references. How about Roger Goodell gets up there on the mic and be like old girl from School Days in KFC and like, can you take your order? Come on, what you want? Can I take your order?
We ain't got no more We ain't got no more Mac.
We ain't got no more quarterback. Then why'd you ask?
Why you asking? I'm the quarterback. We ain't got no more quarterbacks.
Yeah, we ain't got no more quarterbacks. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that in there. Yeah,
oh my God,
pop culture references in the same segment. You've seen it here first.
49ers. Dude, you know what you want to do.
Yeah.
But to go through with the exercise, if I'm ranking them based upon where they should go, I'm not even going to rank them based upon what I think their talent level is.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and say Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, because I truly believe he's a better fit than Mac Jones in that offense. God, and then it just depends upon who takes QB next. But at that point, I'm going, oh my God, dude. It's tough, right? Because I don't know.
Well, what's Bill Belichick going to do?
God, see, that's the thing. If Bella comes up, I might go Trey Lance.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just depends upon who's drafting at that spot because it's a toss-up for me for both Mac Jones. And it's not to belittle what Mac Jones has done. No, I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here trying to cap for the FCS because that's what I do. So no, I'm going Mac Jones, and I'm gonna go ahead and go Trey Lance at number 5 in that spot. Let me go ahead and stop faking the fun.
How about you, Trey?
No, I think that feels right. You know, I wouldn't diverge from that order. Like, and if I'm the rest of the league, I'm doing everything I can to prevent the New England Patriots from letting like, oh, I'm not kidding. Like, they draft like what, 12th or something, 12, 15, somewhere in there.
I think they're 12. Yeah.
Okay.
12 or 15. Yeah.
Like, if I'm team number 11, I could have Joe Burrow at quarterback. I'd be like, you know what? Who's on the board? Oh, Mac Jones. Yeah, we're taking Mac Jones. Yep, that's what we're doing. We're taking him. Yep, we're just gonna need that insurance for Joe, because I'm not giving Belichick another quarterback, man. Nope.
Speaking of quarterbacks, think about this, man. We haven't talked about this young man in a while. Deshaun Watson. Remember when I said before he started becoming Predator Watson? You know, like if he is not traded, I said before, if he wasn't traded before the draft, he's not going to be traded at all because Houston has 0 first-round draft picks. 0 first and second round. I think maybe they don't have a second-round draft pick.
I don't think so.
So they don't have picks in the first and second round. So if they're not trading this cat before tomorrow night, He's going to stay out the season because he doesn't want to play for them.
Yeah. Well, he might have to sit it out based upon what punishment he takes.
Yeah, well, because he may get suspended.
I wonder what would have happened if this mess didn't come out, right?
Good question.
Because as much as both sides dug their heels in and I'm not playing and we're not dealing you. Yeah. When it comes down to it, I got a franchise to run, right? Mm-hmm. And I have to figure out a way to better my franchise. And if that means ultimately I have to trade Deshaun Watson, that's what I'm doing. I'll hold out to the last minute. Talking to every team and seeing what's the best I can get for him. And to me, any team in this draft, including Jacksonville at number 1, should be looking to trade for Deshaun Watson. I will take Deshaun Watson 7 days a week over Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, sure.
Again, minus the other stuff.
Right.
We're talking purely football. You can have the number 1 draft pick. I don't give a damn. Give me Deshaun Watson because I know who he is.
With Urban Meyer and Deshaun Watson together?
Let's go.
What?
Let's go.
Wow.
But unfortunately, he finds himself in the predicament that he's in. Innocent until proven guilty. But unfortunately for him, and more unfortunately for those young ladies, if this all comes out to be true, the team and he are in a very tough spot.
Yeah.
And they won't get as much as they would have before all this time. This is why for people who were saying that they were using this to smear to show us, they'll be cutting up this nose spike in the face big time. That doesn't make
makes no sense whatsoever. That makes no sense
because they will diminish his trade value.
Exactly.
Because if you saw what Matt Stafford got with that whole transaction, what the Rams had to give up. And that was for a quarterback, essentially a quarterback swap with him and their guy from last year. So if Matt Stafford fetched that much, what do you think a guy in his prime is going to get you?
Yep.
And you saw what Sam Darnold, how much Carolina had to give up to get Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what Deshaun Watson would get? Are you serious?
You could build a football team off of off the draft capital you got from trading Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
And that's exactly what they need to do because, of course, they are bereft of picks. Hey, I threw bereft up in there. So, they don't have any picks. And they are in dire need of them. So, yeah. But to your point of the Patriots, who are currently at 15 and them moving up, dude, they might not need to move up. People tend to forget they're sitting right there in the second round at 46. And those 2 guys that we named already, in Mond and Trask, could very easily fall to them in the second round.
Yeah.
And
if that happens, and in a situation where they could both sit
for
for a year,
suffer for 3 years, crappiness.
I'm just like, hey, if it works out, then and they don't have to trade up in order to do it.
But something tells me that somehow Belichick's going to find the evil empire is going to find a way to get Deshaun Watson. I'm not close the door on that.
I'm not
close the door on that.
Neither am I.
He has a relationship with their GM in Houston. So I think. I was like, what's Belichick getting?
Belichick is playing the long game. He's like, all right, how long is Deshaun going to get suspended? All right, he misses 4 games. He misses 8 games. He misses a season. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then let's go.
Got Cam Newton. They got some weapons in free agency. And, they're going to be better next year regardless. It's just how much better, like you said, Dre, the long game.
Yeah.
How much better they're going to be set. So Beatty pretty much ought to be a quarterback from this draft, or it's going to be by trade. And by trade, I mean Deshaun Watson. I still think, I'm not closing the door on it, because Belichick's gonna find a way.
I just feel like at this point you have to let the legal issues resolve to enough of an extent that you have a general idea of his availability. Because only because the court of public opinion is going to annihilate you. Like every women's group, every equality group, you are going to get hammered.
I'll say this though, Andre.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. But I'll say this.
If you make the move before you find out what the resolution to this process is. Like, dude, Joe Mixon.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Had it all come out.
Mm-hmm.
Handled it all. You know, the legal system did what he was supposed to do, served his time, like all of that stuff. And the Bengals still caught rep for drafting him again, rightfully so, in the second round of the draft. Can you imagine had Joe Mixon punched a chick in the face 3 months before the draft with no sort of resolution, with no sort of time served, and now you take him in the second round? On fire. And that's exactly what should happen if anybody decides to trade for Deshaun Watson before this situation comes to some sort of resolution.
But I'll say this, right? We all understand that the New England Patriots are a different organization, right? You brought up Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Mixon. Great case. Another case for you, of course. I got to lean on what happened here in D.C. with what's your boy, Reuben Foster. He was dealing with his situation before he came into D.C. And that situation wasn't resolved yet. And we were still dealing with the name thing kind of before everything. This was all before the fallout with the name and FedEx decided to pull out. The whole Reuben Foster signing, the organization was lambasted for it, and rightfully so, even before they settled that case and he turned out to be innocent.
Right.
But the Patriots, though, stuff don't stick with them. They seem to be like Superman as it pertains to controversy. You know, you had your owner get beat off at the massage parlor. You had the Flake Gate. You had a Video Gate. Any kind of whatever gate, Spy Gate, Swinging Gate. You know. Whatever you want to put out there, you had it on this organization, and they just like brushed it off like Bizarro, man, and kept it moving. That's why I'm like, they're one of those organizations, if not the only organization, that could probably deal with this type of thing and not blink twice. I doubt that they do it unless the price is right. But if anyone were to do it, I think it would be them.
Yeah. Never get put past anything past Belichick. So
he don't care. He don't care. Whatever benefits his organization, and like you said, Andre, they can play the long game. They have the pieces now that makes it easier for them to do so, and just wait until next year, whatever happens in 2021. As long as we get him on the field 2022, we're fine. We'll take that hit.
Yep, he'll be no wear and tear, extra wear and tear on him.
No.
He'll be ready to go.
The best you could do is talk about us.
Yeah.
Dude, we had congressional hearings about the Flakegate.
Right.
This would be nothing. A regular court? Man, listen, we went to Congress. This is court. Right. Man, listen.
Yo. Well, so let's just get to the HBCU sports. Andre, you love this being a Morehouse man. Basically, this is a segment what we do every week, except for last week because we had so much fun talking to Cincinnati sports, which is still awesome, by the way. But anyway, we tell the stories and news about HBCU, what's going on at HBCU athletics, because not many people are, and so we want to tell those stories. Dwayne Nash specializes in telling those stories, as I mentioned earlier. So which really cool. We got good feedback from the commenters and the viewers on YouTube. So we're gonna keep that party going. Nice. So I'm gonna throw this in the ring, this hat in the ring, as regard to HBCU Sports, because it has a Cincinnati connection. Don Gamble, of course, the head coach at the University of Arkansas-Pine Bluff, led his squad to the SWAC Western Division title. Is going to play, I think, they're going to play Alabama State, right?
Alabama A&M.
Alabama A&M, my bad. Alabama A&M in the SWAC title. But the Cincinnati connection is that he's a former coach at Withrow High School. And Withrow High School is one of the main high schools here in the city of Cincinnati, as I call part of the big W's: Withrow, Woodward, and Walnut Hills. Andre is a proud grad of Walnut Hills. My wife is a proud grad of Walnut Hills High School as well. That's where the smart kids go.
Just a quick plug for just a quick plug.
Go ahead.
USA Today came out with their rankings of public high schools. Walnut Hills is number 1 in the state of Ohio. I want to say like 112 out of like 30,000 schools across the United States. So represent Eagles. All right, go ahead.
The whole thing here, we're talking about most off campus. The whole thing is here in Cincinnati and the Midwest, for that matter, is where'd you go to school, but not college, high school. Where'd you go to high school at? But anyway, we'll get to that later off camera. But the point is that, yeah, that's the Cincinnati connection. You coach at Withrow High. And so they did the write-up on the paper here like a couple of weeks ago. So, so the Withrow High School, their Twitter account gave Coach Gamble love on Twitter, and they've been giving him some love here on Cincinnati.com as well. So it's much deserved. And so Arkansas-Pine Bluff was damn good.
Yeah,
probably going to win the whole damn thing come Saturday.
I don't know. But first and foremost, let me go ahead and make sure I correct you. It's Doc Gamble, Charles Doc Gamble, not Don Gamble. You slipped on that.
I said Don. Okay, Doc Gamble.
Yeah,
okay,
I don't want the UAPB fans out there to get upset about that slip up. You know, with them gritting their teeth. Oh my God, you said Don, it's Doc. Okay,
well, you know what SWAC fans are. SWAC fans are serious about that shit.
Yes, they are. They're
serious about that
the
shit.
SEC of HBCU football.
Yeah,
most definitely.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
You know, for better or for worse, they are the SEC of HBCU football. Take that however you want. But yeah, Doc Gamble, like you said, Withrow. He also spent some time on the staff over at UC as well. Yeah. Before going over to Alcorn State, and then of course he had another stop someplace else I can't remember exactly where before becoming head man over at UAPB. And this is his first season and going undefeated in his first season at that. Yes, it's a COVID condensed season, but still to go undefeated, it is what it is, right? Mm-hmm. I can name another coach in the SWAC that didn't go undefeated this year.
Deion Sanders, Coach Prime.
I didn't say no names. You said that. You said it. I didn't Coach say nothing. I was going to say
those Jackson State alums lit us up. Well, lit you up. Lit you up.
Hey, they ain't light me up. I'm Teflon, baby. They ain't hurt nothing around here. I was going to say Coach Fobbs over at Grambling, but I digress.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, you right. But you know, Gamble over there at UAPB. My man Connell Maynard over there at Alabama A&M in his third year. And I don't know what it is about him in his third seasons, but in the 3 stints of where he's coached, Winston-Salem State, Hampton, and now here at Alabama A&M, his third year is always his best year. And it's been something that, oddly enough, Previn pointed out to me as he was being hired over at Alabama A&M. He said, watch him year 3. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And I kept it in my memory, but kind of tossed away. But yeah, being a former quarterback, he understands how to work with his offenses and his quarterbacks. And that offense seems to get rolling year 3 wherever he goes. And Akil Glass over there, Alabama A&M, is a beast. They're already looking at him as being NFL potential there Alabama A&M, which is very rare on the HBCU ranks that you hear about a QB at an HBCU being NFL caliber. Like he's 6'4", 6'5", 220, has a gun on him, very accurate, knows how to, a great decision maker, and he's progressively gotten better within that offense. And then one of the things he's also done this year was reduce the amount of mistakes that he makes too. So this game is going to be very interesting because they haven't played each other this year and they don't have common opponents. And I'm going to say it again with the camera, as much exposure as the SWAC got this year, how many games did Arkansas-Pine Bluff get on TV this year? Exactly. But, it's exposure for the SWAC, right? So I can't truly analyze Arkansas-Pine Bluff like I want to because I didn't get a chance to see them. All I could do is be like, okay, I got the stats. I know what the stats look like. I know what their numbers look like, but that's not necessarily a fair assessment. But I do know what Alabama A&M look like. They've had a great run this year. They've beaten some fantastic programs, going out to Orangeburg to beat South Carolina State. Of course, they beat Jackson. Of course, they beat Alabama State. And they beat Southern, I think. No, they didn't beat Southern. Pine Bluff beat Southern. And that's the I'm about to get to that in a moment, too. That loss to Southern is what kept Southern from making the SWAC championship this year. With that said, this is the first year since 2012 that Grambling, Southern, or Alcorn State are not in the SWAC championship game. You asked me who I think is going to win this. Well, you said who could potentially win this game. I don't necessarily know just yet. I know where I'm leaning, but I will be talking about it with CFB Home on YouTube tomorrow. I don't know if it's necessarily going to air on YouTube tomorrow, but I'll be filming it tomorrow. So hopefully it'll be up by Friday. Cool. So look for that here on YouTube as well. Nice. That's CFB Home. I'm doing the SWAC preview there. But that loss, I was as I was referring to earlier for Southern, kept them out of the SWAC championship game. And I don't know if that was the straw that broke the camel's back, but their head coach ended up leaving town in Dawson Odoms last Wednesday, to be exact. He unexpectedly left and moved on to Norfolk State in the MEAC. Very interesting decision. But I'll say those that were in the know and those that follow Southern football either saw him either leaving or him being fired because the fan base wanted him out of there, which I don't understand because he was 55-21 against SWAC opponents his entire time there at Southern, which is over 70%. Head scratcher, but he was 5-3 against Grambling, and of course you got to beat Grambling if you're at Southern, right? Right. And sadly, he was 1-3 in the SWAC championship game. Like I said earlier, he is one of the 3 coaches that were in the SWAC championship game since his hiring. No one else can say that other than Coach Fobbs and Coach McNair over at Alcorn State. But being that he only walked away with 1 title in his tenure there, the Jaguar Nation did not want him there, especially with him not being a Louisiana guy. He's from Shelby, North Carolina. So with him going to Norfolk, being a little bit closer to his hometown, being back in MEAC where he is an alum of North Carolina Central, he gets back to comfortable confines. He gets to be there, and it'll be interesting to see what they do there at Norfolk State. But of course, that head coaching job is open at Southern. And there's been some mutual interest there as well that was announced yesterday about who could potentially fill that void. And that name is,
please,
Marshall Faulk, the great NFL running back, the Pro Football Hall of Famer out of the Indianapolis Colts and the St. Louis Rams that, of course, once again, has no coaching experience whatsoever. But he's from the state of Louisiana. He's from New Orleans, and of course, Southern's in Baton Rouge. And that's one of the things that a lot of people have been saying is that they've been clamoring for the Louisiana boy back in there as the head coach for some time. And it'll be very interesting to see who they hire. The athletic director, Roman Banks, made an announcement today through HBCU Sports, where he said, HBCUsports.com. Shout out to my man, Ken Rashad, one of your fraternity brothers out of Grambling, where he said that they're getting close to making their decision as to who they're going to hire as head coach there. And that decision will potentially be made this Friday. So it's going to be very interesting to see if that's the case. It was a little weird there because there was some rumor going around that current Alabama A&M coach, Connell Maynard, had interviewed for the job, only for him to come out and say that, no, that's not true. His focus is to win a SWAC championship
Which means he interviewed for the job, by the way.
Which is why I'm like, it's last season player. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that he's lying, that he's not focusing on the SWAC championship. It should be his focus.
He's just multitasking.
He's multitasking. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly how that goes down and how that's handled. Whether or not they make that announcement of who the hire is going to be or not. If they make the announcement Friday, he can still be announced as the head coach and still potentially coaching the championship game. It'd be a little shady to do that, but I don't know. We'll see,
hey,
right?
Marshall Falk, if you're listening, I've had beignets in New Orleans before. And so being that I talk sports online, I've had actual beignets in New Orleans. If you've got a spot on your coaching staff, I really feel like I'm qualified.
Hey, I think you might need to have some gumbo in the northern region of Louisiana in order for you to really, really be a candidate there at Southern.
Yeah, I don't need a coordinator spot. Like, I just, if you want me to do, like, assistant to the special teams coach, I can do that.
Or I would like to be the assistant to the assistant. So I get some beignets and some catfish.
Right.
They got some hella good fried catfish down there. I gained 500 pounds, but I don't care. I'll get me some catfish. So, hey, Marshall Falk, if you're the guy, you're a Hall of Famer, similar to Trey, I mean, hey, I'll be the assistant to the assistant. I get your coffee as long as I can get some of the beignets and those hurricanes on the side, too.
But yeah,
drink every day.
we already know that this is falling in line with the other hires that have happened recently at Jackson State, with them hiring Deion Sanders and, of course, Eddie George being a hire at Tennessee State, where this type of attention, this type of interest being mutual between the two parties is, of course, drawing attention to the program. It'll be very interesting to see if the program decides to go that route or not with an unexperienced coach. But I do know one thing: if this program doesn't win, I don't care who the head coach is, they're going to want him out of there if it ain't working. Because this is a program that is used to winning. And they're not going to settle for anything less. And
should they?
No, they shouldn't. But I say this, though. If it doesn't work out, Southern fans, you got what you asked for. You wanted Dawson out of there. This dude was giving you 6-7 wins a season. He out of there now. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So with that said, that's what's going on with oh, you almost forgot NFL draft. We were just talking about the NFL draft, baby. There are, of course, several NFL prospects from HBCUs that are out there. Most notably, David Moore, offensive lineman out of Grambling. Like I said, this is a very deep offensive lineman draft. Moore looked fantastic at the Reese's Southern Senior Bowl this past year, with this a couple of months ago. Also, Brian Mills out of North Carolina Central, and also my main man Matt McCain III. Yes, that McCain, if that name sounds very familiar, of course, is one of the A&T 4. He is the grandson.
No way.
Yes, he is. Yes way.
Wow.
So, and of course, he had a fantastic freshman season. those two back-to-back televised games where he played extremely well against Jacksonville State and ECU. Shout out Pirates. Where he signed in those two games, he's been drawing attention even from the likes of Chad Ochocinco, who actually worked out at North Carolina A&T one summer because his daughter, who runs track, was in Greensboro participating, and he worked out with the football team a couple of years ago. So he's very familiar with the team there. And there are several other guys that weren't drafted in 2020 that are still draft eligible as well that may get picked up. I hope so, because there are a lot of guys who didn't go in last year's draft that I think should have and should be on somebody's roster. I'm looking out to see exactly who makes it. So shout out to everyone who's draft eligible, and good luck with you guys. Hopefully you get picked up this weekend.
Well said. So any news, Trey, with your Morehouse, beloved Morehouse Tigers?
No. The jerseys are still ugly. No.
Speaking of the white unis for the Cincinnati Bengals that I sent you guys.
Yes.
My God.
Man, that white, I told y'all, give me a white helmet with black stripes with the white unis.
Especially with the color rush jerseys from last year.
Yeah.
Well, so the new jerseys this year, they had one of the primary jerseys is all white with the black stripes. So I mean, it was inspired by the color rush.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, you get the exact same effect, but you throw the white helmet with the black stripes on it.
Yeah, I think if Roger Goodell, I call him Goodell. If Roger Goodell would actually, I don't like Roger Goodell. I'm sorry, but anyway, if Roger Goodell can allow teams to have fun again, be creative with the helmets and stuff, because they used to have multiple helmets. Because the Falcons, when they did the throwbacks, they used to have the red helmet and sometimes have the old school black helmet.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been using the main helmet for all that. So there you go. Drake got it up.
Yeah.
So if they relax their restrictions with the helmets, I think you see this sooner rather than later. And I think you mentioned this last week, Dre, is that there's talk that the NFL is going to relax those restrictions soon.
Yeah.
So expect that to pop up. If they're not going to do the old school Bengals, they're going to do that. And I think they're leaning towards doing the white Bengal Tiger jersey and making a whiteout. Similar to what they do in Buffalo, similar to what they do. They used to do with the Jets when they had their white helmets. But I look for Cincinnati to do that once they get the okay with that. That'll be dope. Even for me, that'd be dope.
Yep.
That'd be hell of
Oh yeah. Some more quick HBCU news, real quick.
Yes, sir.
If you've been under a rock and you are not following HBCU track and field, you probably missed this past weekend. It was a great performance by North Carolina A&T this past weekend at the Drake Relays out in Iowa. As much as they talked about the men's and women's relay teams that won the 4x400 respectively, and the women won the 4x1 out there, the men came in second in the 4x100 they lost by 0.7 of a second to the University of Houston, who is coached by Carl Lewis. So yeah, that race against Houston in the 4x100 was a monster race. But with all of the talks about the relays, there was great individual performances out there. Tavares Wright for A&T came in first in the men's 100. They also won the men's 110 hurdles. The women came in first, third, fourth, and fifth. In the women's 100, came in second and third in the women's 100. And also shout out to Lincoln, Missouri, the Division II program out there, who also participated in the Drake Relays. They had great turnouts out there from their men's and women's programs. And the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference had their outdoor track and field championships this past weekend. Shout out to Xavier, the women's Xavier track team, which set a conference record for winning all 11 track events. and won 13 of the 18 total events for the women's side. And shout out to Dillard for winning the men's side. And I think that was the first time that they won the men's side since 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. So shout out to them and their performances on the Division II NAIA level for track and field. Yes, for HBCU.
Excellence. I don't have much random shit for the random. Well, by the way, this is the random shit segment that we didn't get to last week as well. Where anything that comes to mind, sports related, that didn't bring up or worthy to be brought up.
Two things NBA wise.
Your Bullets beat the Lakers.
So I saw that they were up by 14.
It's a final. It went final.
It's a final.
Went final.
So I'm happy for that.
Yeah.
Still a little disappointed in that loss to the Spurs last night by 3. They got very lackadaisical and late in the fourth quarter and in overtime, but it is what it is. Great win against the Lakers, but your Knicks are looking good over there.
Did you see Screaming A. Smith the other night when after we won our 9th game in a row? And he's like, oh my Knicks. You know, he throws all those big words, blowy and all that stuff. But he's like, oh my Knicks. Man.
You know, as much as a lock as the Bucks, the Nets, and the Sixers are right now in the East, everybody else could be just fodder, but it's interesting conversation, especially as you're talking about what's going on at the 4, 5, and 6 spots with the Knicks, the Hornets, and the Celtics.
Yeah.
And then of course the
Hawks. The Hawks are in it too.
The Hawks and the Heat as well.
Yeah.
So it's real fun. It's a whole lot of fun to see what's going on with them teams, especially with the Knicks. To see that the Knicks are back, man. My Lord. And then of course,
Coach of the Year, Tom Thibodeau for Coach of the Year. Give him the damn trophy. Don't play the rest of the season. Give him the damn trophy.
Coach he should get it. He really should get it.
Yeah.
But I'll say this too: the scoring title between Bradley Beal and Steph Curry right now is extremely tight.
Yeah.
Yes, both of them. I'm just glad he came to DC and had a horrible night wearing them Howard University shoes. I don't know what it is about that bison, man. You got the bison on your feet. That's what you do. But shout
out to Howard.
Shout out to Howard. But I'm sorry, Coach Blake. But that race is becoming a very tight one. And of course, I'm sitting at the edge of my seat waiting to see exactly how that pans out too. I'm rooting for not only the Wizards to go ahead and make the playoffs, but for Bradley Beal to go ahead and win that title. I can't remember a time where a Bullet/Wizard led the league in scoring. So this will be great.
You know, the playing game is going to be fun. The way it's
the playing games, they're
going to be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about you're talking about the Bullets, man. They won a winning streak. They're now in contention in that 10th spot. And then you got Golden State. Who's the one who face Golden State in the playing game? Especially as an HC, they get out of the playing game as an HC. If you're Utah, do you want to face Golden State and Steph Curry? Do you really want to face those boys in the first round?
No, but I say this though. Dallas put a hurting on them last night. Yeah. They held them to 12 points in the first quarter.
28 straight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other thing too. Steph is on the verge of hitting 100 threes in a month. This month, 100. There used to be a time where dude shot 100 threes in a season. He's on the verge. All he has to do is hit 10 more. So if he hits 10 more before the end of the season, before the end of the month, he got 100 for the month.
That's ridiculous.
That's stupid.
Here's my random sports thought, and to get you guys' opinion on it. So,
all right.
The Reds just completed a 3-game series with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Reds took 2 out of 3, but in the Reds' visit to the Dodgers, they presented Trevor Bauer with his Cy Young Award. Is that cool that the Reds were in town when they did it? Or is it kind of in the Reds' face that here's his Cy Young Award. I know he got it with y'all, but he's not with us. What y'all think?
That's a wonderful question, dude.
The petty side of me
It's the petty.
That's the petty side of me. That's the petty side of me.
For me to, as much as I don't like to say that statement.
It's petty.
It's the petty
side of
me.
me. It's the petty side of me.
dude.
Applaud.
Yeah,
because that can't be coincidence. That can't be coincidence.
No.
They played at home. The Dodgers. The Dodgers played at home already before the Red Series. That shit was planned. And that's probably Trevor Bauer's idea because he's probably pissed that he's like, you mean to tell me I was y'all's ace and you didn't even give a damn, you didn't even offer me a damn contract?
So I will say this. from a player standpoint, one thing they did, he wore cleats that had Castellanos when he was standing over the St. Louis Cardinal dude. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
And so like on Trevor Bauer's cleats, it had that picture, and then the other shoe said flexing on him, and he just had him standing over it. Like, so I think it's less issue from a Trevor
Bauer. Yeah, for Bauer.
Yeah.
I just found it to be a little bit petty from a
Dodger standpoint. Yeah, dude, you should be bigger than that LA Dodgers. I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Well, that's an old rivalry. That's the old rivalry from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
That's a rivalry. But it's still petty. It's still petty. I'm here for the again. I'm here for the petty. I'm here for the petty. I'm here for the petty. So that's how I feel about that. So I ain't got a problem with it. It is what it is. It is what it is. And I'm sure they play again. They're gonna come here. So I mean I'm here for the return, petty. I'm here for it. And I think the Reds, I think about to hit that straw to figure out the hitting issues. So it's gonna be fun. It's still early in the season, so it's gonna be fun. Well, might as well call it, guys. Hey, we didn't go for 3 hours like we almost did last time, but we had fun. Dre, thank you very much. It was done in the name of
fun. Yes,
it was hella fun the last 2 weeks. Thank you, bruh. I appreciate you as always. Dwayne, you brought the funk as always. Thank you. And you guys out there and gals, please subscribe to the podcast. Hit the subscribe button. You'll be glad you did. We're going to get your boy Andre back in future shows, maybe after the draft.
Yes.
Who knows? To talk about picks, because it's going to be news fodder here in the city. And so we're going to pick up on that as well. But again, check Dwayne at GR/HBCU Sports, and also Sleazy Radio every Tuesday night on Facebook Live, as well as tomorrow night when they're going to have a live simulcast, if you will, with the NFL draft. And so I'm going to be on the Zoom cast as well.
If you watch me cry on Facebook Live, I always get a little upset about what's going to happen right before the pick, and then if the pick is a good one, then I end up celebrating. But I got a picture of me right before the Dwayne Haskins pick. Yeah, it speaks volumes, dude. Yeah.
Is there a way we can find that on the internet? I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Oh, I can most definitely post it. I had to get it.
Please do. I'll post it on Facebook and on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
I'll post that. I'll post all that shit. But anyway, seriously, guys, and to people out there, I know we're trying to come out the pandemic, but please still be careful. Wash your damn hands. Wear a fucking mask. Don't be a baby. Okay, just wear a mask. Okay, if you're in the
dude, you know what they're doing right now. They've already got the provision where they don't have to wear it in public anymore, especially if you ain't got no shot. But my thing is, do what you like. To kind of paraphrase NWA, protect yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say express yourself. I'm gonna say protect yourself. Right. Whatever you need to do in order to protect yourself, because we ain't out the hole yet. Especially with only about 53% of the people getting shots anyway. And this thing's still real. Yeah. So, hey, take care of you.
Yes.
Because ain't nobody else caring about you but you, hopefully, right?
Exactly. Well, you see it. So
y'all
be careful. I know, Andre, you're in the healthcare business.
Yes, sir.
So you've seen it firsthand. I don't need to remind you. You said it last week. But so guys, just use common sense out there. Protect yourselves. If you're not going to protect other people, just protect yourself at least.
Yeah.
Right? So we can get out of this pandemic sooner rather than later.
Do what Americans do best. Be selfish.
Protect yourselves at least. If you can't look out for anyone else, protect yourselves. But seriously, guys, take care. And again, have fun out there. Have fun at tomorrow night's draft. Don't eat too much. Don't drink too much. So peace out. Take care.